Good evening. My name is Alicia Obando and I'm from the Anti-Cruelty Society. For 109 years we have provided an open door for Chicago's animals in need. Our mission of preventing cruelty to animals and advancing humane education is evident in all the work that we do. And it's what we're discussing here on Thursday nights at 5:30 on this live, interactive call-in television show brought to you by TV21. During the next 25 minutes, we're going to discuss the Anti-Cruelty Society's foster care program, and we invite you to call in with any questions you might have. The number is on the screen, 312-738-1060. Our phone lines are now open. My human guest with me today is Darlene Duggan. She is the Director of Volunteer Services at the Anti-Cruelty Society. But before we get started, I want to introduce our pet guest this evening. And we have Jingles. This is Jingles, a beautiful 10-week-old husky mixed puppy available for adoption at Anti-Cruelty. Jingles and her siblings came to us only a few days ago from another shelter. These gorgeous pups are growing to be about medium to large-sized dogs, weighing in around 55 to 65 pounds when they're full grown. Huskies are known to be talkers, which means they can be pretty vocal at times, but so far Jingles is the silent one of the litter. However, she is a bit more stressed than her siblings, so that could be one of the reasons why she's kind of quiet. She loves to cuddle with people, and with that magnificent fur coat, she's going to keep her lucky adopters quite warm this winter. Jingles' tab band number, that's the number that identifies her at the shelter, is 678673. And she's patiently waiting for her forever home at the shelter. So if you're interested, just refer to that tab band number when you give us a call. We are at 312-644-8338. If you're interested in Jingles, just give us a jingle. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jingles.
Yeah. See you later, Jingles.
You go be a good puppy. Well, welcome to the show, Darlene.
Thank you. So happy to be a guest tonight.
Yes, thank you. You've helped us out with future shows. It's nice that you're a guest this time, or with past shows. As the Director of Volunteer Services, you coordinate all the volunteer programs at Anti-Cruelty.
That's right.
So can you tell us a little bit about those programs?
We have a bunch of different programs that folks can help us out with. In fact, there's about 15 or so different areas in the shelter that they can give us a hand. Anything from walking dogs to socializing cats. There's opportunities in our clinic to help with physical exams, surgical recovery in our spay-neuter clinic. We always need help with special events and lots of other miscellaneous things around the shelter as well.
Okay. Now, one of the volunteer programs is the foster care program.
Yes.
So tell us why this program is important.
The foster care program is absolutely vital to the Anti-Cruelty Society. It is one of our, it's almost considered like a satellite facility for the Anti-Cruelty Society. We invite families, individuals, folks who are able and willing to help us take care of our animals outside of the shelter in their own home. We primarily foster for one of two reasons, and the first is animals who are underage. Legally, we cannot adopt out anybody who is under 8 weeks of age. So sometimes for the 4, 5, 6-week-old puppies and kitties that come in, much better situation for them to get out of the shelter, out of our germy environment, into someone's home where they can be socialized, taken care of, 24-hour TLC basically. So we'd like to get those guys out of the shelter. The second reason we foster is for illness or injury. A lot of what we're talking about there is kennel cough in dogs, upper respiratory infection in cats. That's basically the dog and cat version of the human cold. Again, much better situation for those dogs and cats to recover in a home rather than in the shelter environment.
So why do they recover better in a home?
It's a lot less stressful for the animals. There's a lot, again, much like I had mentioned earlier with the 24-hour care, there's folks constantly home. And I always tell foster parents to think of yourself when you have the cold or flu. Isn't it so much better to sit on the couch and have someone bring you chicken soup and bring a warm blanket and tissues when you need it? Same thing for the animals. They respond to that TLC as well. So they recover much, much quicker in the shelter, in the foster home than they do in the shelter. It's not to say that we don't have the time and the space in the shelter to care for them, because we certainly do with our rehab facilities, isolation rooms, and just our general holding in the area of the shelter. But again, most appropriate situation for the animals is in the foster home.
Okay, where it's quieter and
Exactly.
they get a little bit more TLC.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, and are there any behavioral reasons why an animal would go to foster?
We are starting to get into a lot more behavior fosters right now, which has been working out wonderfully for the animals. We do some behavior assessments in the shelter, and if we find it appropriate, we will place those animals into foster care. Examples include the dogs or cats who have for whatever reason, just needed a little extra time for adoption. Most of the animals in our shelter make it in and out, from the time that they're relinquished to the time that they're adopted within about 2 to 3 weeks. Some animals, for whatever reason, it takes a little bit more time for them to find a home. So we like to put those out in foster so that they can kind of socialize again and just kind of stretch their legs. Oftentimes, too, especially with our cats, we find that they don't adapt to the shelter environment all that well. So the ones who are shy, scared, timid, again, just not responding very well to the shelter environment, we put those guys in foster care as well. Occasionally, we'll have foster parents work on some behavioral modification for us, play biting with the kittens, certainly with the cats, and puppies as well. Help us out in that regard. Again, much better situation if we can do that in a real life setting rather than in the shelter.
Right.
It gives the foster dog or cat a lot more experience in an actual home.
Right. All righty. Now, once the animal has been referred, well, first of all, how do they get referred to the foster care program?
Every animal that comes through the doors of the Anti-Cruelty Society has to receive a physical exam by veterinarians. At that time, if the doctors decide that the animal would be appropriate for foster, again, because it's underage or it's sick, they will come to me and say, can you please find an appropriate foster home for this animal? So then I'll throw it out to our foster list and see if anybody's available to take a foster home.
Okay. Now, how long does an animal usually stay in foster care?
Typical foster length is usually about a month. That's kind of the ballpark that I ask people to have in their mind when they're considering taking in an animal. But again, each individual animal is considered on its own. So if it's just a simple kitten that needs a couple extra weeks until it hits that 8-week mark, that's a pretty quick and easy foster. If it's a dog or a cat who's sick, maybe needs a little bit more time, so it might extend past a month or so. But in general, most of the fosters last about a month.
Okay. Well, it seems like we have a caller. Bob? Bob, you're on the air.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Well, you partially answered one of my questions because I was wondering what the length of time that somebody would be committing to be a foster parent would be. But also, my roommates and I have often talked about taking in an animal for a certain period of time, and we really didn't know if that meant that we were kind of opening up to having multiple animals come in, or is this kind of a program where you can try it out with maybe a puppy and see how it fits into your household and also how it works out for the animal as well?
That's actually a great question, Bob. We leave the decision completely up to the foster parent or the potential foster family. If a family is interested in taking more than one dog or cat at a time, we certainly can accommodate that. If it's a foster situation where they can only have one animal at a time, even if it's a foster situation where they can only do cats and not dogs or vice versa, we work with the foster family so that they can best accommodate us. Oftentimes, though, we have found, and this is strictly from comments and suggestions from current foster parents, is that it's easier to have multiple foster animals in the house. A lot of times fosters will say taking 2 or 3 kittens works out a lot better because the kittens entertain each other and aren't as needy for the attention as the members of the human members of the household. Same with puppies and dogs as well. So if a foster home is able to take more than one animal, certainly we appreciate that, and if not, that's fine as well. We're appreciative of their efforts that they can help us out with also.
All right, thanks so much, Bob.